Hello chess lovers, I have a magnificent game for you played by Friedrich Saemisch against Oskar Menzinger. The game was played in 1953 in Marktoberdorf. Saemisch started with e4 and e6 by Menzinger. Black goes for French defense. d4, d5, knight c3 and bishop b4. We see the Winawer variation. e5, c5, a3. Usually in this position, black is capturing on c3 or is choosing the retreat variation. Later black can go for the Armenian line, but instead after a3, Menzinger played c takes d4, which is a very rare continuation. A takes b4, d takes c3, b takes c3. Knight c6, knight f3, knight e7, bishop d3, knight g6, queen e2 and queen c7. Black is putting more and more pressure on e5 and white is capturing on g6, getting rid of one of the attacking pieces. H takes g6, white castles, bishop d7, rook e1 and a dubious decision by black f6, which is weakening the king side. A better move, for example, rook c8, playing on the c file. But instead, after rook e1, we see f6, now comes c4, white is challenging black's center. Knight e7, well, if a move like knight takes b4, then bishop a3 can be very unpleasant. If knight c6, then bishop d6, if queen c8, then c takes d5, knight takes e5, and after the exchange on e5, queen f3 is very strong. Of course, capturing on e5 is also playable, but white needs to capture on e5 with the rook and black's position just collapses. Let's go back. After c4, we see knight e7, c takes d5, knight takes d5, c4, knight b6, bishop b2. This bishop is starting to put pressure on this long diagonal. King f7. Well, actually, queen takes c4 is better, going for an endgame. If e takes f6, then queen takes e2, rook takes e2, g takes f6, bishop takes f6, though of course white's position is preferable. White has an advantage. White pieces are more active and black has too many weaknesses. Look at these pawn islands. After bishop b2, we see king f7, rook d1. Well, actually, after king f7, capturing on e6 was better. If g takes f6, then white has a very strong knight e5 move. If f takes e5, then bishop takes e5, followed by bishop takes h8. If queen takes h8, then queen f3 check, and then white can play c5, and white has a very strong attack. This king is stuck in the center of the board. This is going to be fatal for black. After rook d1, we see rook e8. Now comes b5, white pawns are demoralizing this bishop on d7. Bishop c8, rook d4, rook d8, rook f4. Now this rook is starting to put pressure on f6. Rook h5, white first plays g4, kicking away this rook. Black counterattacked white's rook, but white is not even thinking of moving his rook or even capturing on h5. Here comes e takes f6. Allowing black to capture on f4. Now black has two options, either to capture on f4 with a pawn or with a queen. Black captured with the queen. Well, if g takes f4, then g takes h5, and if g takes f6, then knight g5 can be very unpleasant. If f takes g5, then queen e4, white queen is using the weakness of the light squares. If rook g8, then queen h7 check, followed by bishop a3 check. This bishop is also joining the attack and black is losing. Or after queen e4, if a move like king f8, then h6. If queen f7, then h7. There is no way to stop this pawn. King e7, white can simply promote to a queen and black's position is hopeless. Let's go back. After e takes f6, that's why black played queen takes f4. But now comes knight e5 check, king g8, f7 check. There is no way to stop this pawn. Look at this pawn on f7. King h7, of course black king can't go to h8 square because of this knight g6 fork. We see king h7, now comes queen c2 check. This queen is also joining the attack, and as you know, when the queen joins the attack, it should be sacrificed. King h8, knight g6 check. King h7, of course white is not even thinking of capturing this poor queen. There are more important jobs to do. Knight f8, double check. King h8, here comes the queen. Queen h7 check, bang. Rook takes h7 and knight g6. We see a fantastic smothered mate with a single knight and a pawn. Look at this beautiful checkmate on the board by Friedrich Saemisch. Your comments and questions please, and thanks for watching. Good luck.